Hello everyone, this is your I.C.T online tutor. Today we want to learn about count function. So we are going to use a count A and a count if. So to briefly describe our count function, a count function can only count the cells that contain numbers. A count A function can count the cells that are not empty. As long as we have a number or a letter in that cell, it's going to count. But if there is a condition that we want to check, if there's a condition that we want to check for us to be able to count, then we use a count if function. But if there are many conditions that we need to check, then we use a count ifs function. So today's illustration, we want to do a count A and a count if. So we are going to use the May-June 2024 paper 3.1 to illustrate the function. We are going to go to question 3. Question 3 says, place in cell B3 a formula to count the total number of sightings for a 7-day period. So we have been given the source file that we want to use, and from the source file that we have, we want to count the values that are in here. So because we want to count the cells that are not empty, we just want to count, and these cells that contain letters, it means that we cannot use a count function because these cells, they contain letters. So we want to use a count function, a count A function. So the count A function is being asked to be in cell B3. So we are going to go in cell B3 to place this count A function. So we go back to our Splendid and go to column B, and then we want to be in row 3. So in our name box, it's saying B3, so we know we are in the correct cell. So we are going to say equals count A, and we said we are going to use count A because we want to count the cells that are not empty to see that there is something. So we are going to use any list of values that we are going to use, but we can use the column B. So these are the values that are going down. So this is our column B. We can either use B, C, D going down as long as it's in that column. So we are going to use our column B just to count the cells that are not empty. Okay, so this is going to be our function. So our function is saying equals count A because we are counting cells that are not empty. These cells, they contain letters, so they are going to be counted. If we use a count function, it will not give us a correct answer. Why? Because count function only count the cells that contain numbers only. Okay, so we are using the count A to count cells that are not empty, cells that have either numbers or characters. So this is our function, and then we can close our bracket to say this is our range. You press enter, and then when you press enter, you have the number of cells. Okay, so we have 41 cells that are not empty. Okay, so let's do a count if function. So from question 4, it says place in cell B4 a formula to count the total number of sightings for a 7-day period where a photograph was taken. So because there is the word where, it means there is a condition that has to be met, and the condition is a photograph was taken. Okay, so we need to count, but we need to count only where the photograph was taken. So we go back to our source file, and then we check from our list. We have photographic evidence. So some are yes, some are no. Yes, and then there are some where there is a no. Okay, so we are saying that's the condition. Now we just don't want to count, but we want to count where there is a condition yes. Okay, so this function is a count if, because there's a condition, and it has been asked to be placed in cell B4. So our function is count if. So we put our count if, and then we put our range. Okay, so we are going to list a range. Click and select the range going down. This is our list of range. And after putting the list of range, we then have to put the condition to say, okay, the condition is yes. So this is the range. Count if is the function, and then we have the range, the one that is in bold. So now we have selected the actual range that we want to use. Then we put a comma to set the criteria now. The criteria is yes, where there is the word yes. Okay, so because there is the word yes, it's actually in letters, we have to quote. As long as it's characters, we have to put double quotes around the word. We put double quotes around the word, which is different when we are using when we are referring to a actual cell. So this one, the information or the criteria or what we are basing on for us to count is the word yes. So if it's yes, can you count? So this is the range E35 to, that's the range. Okay, from this range, can you check where there is a yes and then count it? So that's a count if function. From this range that I have given you, E35 through to E75, can you count if there is a yes? And we are quoting yes because these are characters, these are letters. It's not reference to a cell. If it was going to reference to a cell, we don't quote it. Okay, so because we are using letters, we're going to say, can we quote the letters? Which is yes. We press enter, and when we press enter, we should now have an answer in our cell B4, which says equals count if B35 through E75, and the condition being yes. And now we have 35 sightings with photograph. Okay, thank you.